Okay, so now is the part where for most people, if any part of supply and demand hasn't made sense to you, it kind of all starts to come together and make more sense, because now we don't think about the law of demand and the law of supply in isolation, but we think about how they work together. And like when we did that market for wheat in class, where is that sweet spot that we can find where supply and demand are going to meet together? So on your screen, as you can see, you have a demand schedule, which follows the law of demand, and you have a supply schedule, which follows the law of supply. And as we put those together, we end up getting a downward sloping demand curve, like we've always had, and an upward sloping supply curve, like we've always had. We refer to this point where they meet as equilibrium. And equilibrium, sometimes we refer to that as the market clearing price. It's the place where we can make the most suppliers happy and the most consumers happy. And so if you look at this graph, at a price of $3, the quantity demanded and the quantity supplied happens to be 30, right? Because at a price of $3, we come over and we hit our demand curve and we hit our supply curve. And that is referred to as the equilibrium price. So what happens if we don't price things in the correct way, right? What happens if we put prices too high, we ended up raising them, etc.? So if, let's say that somebody had a taco shop and they were doing really well and they were selling tacos for $3 each, they sell 30 every day, and they're like, wow, we're doing really well. So what I think we should do is we should raise the price. Well, if they raise that price up to $4, if we look at our graph, here's what's going to happen. At a price of $4, if you come over here to your curve, our quantity demanded is only 20. Because the law of demand tells us if something becomes more expensive, we're willing and able to purchase less of them. But at a price of $4, suppliers are like, woohoo, I can make the big bucks and I really, really want to supply a lot. So at a price of $4, the quantity supplied is going to end up being 40. We refer to that as a disequilibrium. Just means we're not at equilibrium. And so most of you can kind of figure out, if we think about in terms of shortage or surplus, that's going to create too much of something because our quantity demanded is 20, but our quantity supplied is 40. So we refer to that as a surplus. You have too much. Quantity demanded is going to be less than quantity supplied. So what would the size of the surplus be? You simply have to figure out the distance. What is the gap between quantity demanded and quantity supplied? Quantity supplied is 40. Quantity demanded is only 20, so the size of our surplus would be 20. All right, so the taco shop realizes, oop, we messed up. We put their tacos way too high. We got to get rid of all this stuff, so we're going to drop our prices to $2. Well, word gets out. These great tacos are only $2 now. And so at a price of $2, we're still going to have disequilibrium. Because at a price of $2, the supplier's like, look, this is all I can do because it's got to be worth my time, my energy, and I have that profit motive. But at a price of $2, people are lining up around the corner. More people want them than ever before. So our quantity supplied now is only 20, but our quantity demanded ends up being 50. And so if our quantity demanded is greater than our quantity supplied, we refer to that as, again, disequilibrium, but that is a shortage. And what would the size of your shortage be? It would be 30, right? Because quantity demanded is 30 more than quantity supplied. All right, so I feel like you guys get the shortage surplus thing pretty good. And so the thing for you to kind of know is that there is always this free market, this push towards equilibrium. Like that there's just this natural tendency where if prices are too high, they're going to naturally kind of come down. And if prices are too low, then they're going to end up pushing back. That's what happens in a free market, absent any government regulation, is that like the natural forces, kind of like Adam Smith talked to us, that idea of invisible hand, markets tend back towards equilibrium, the place where we make the most people happy possible. So if prices are too high, producers will naturally lower their price if we have a surplus. And if prices are too low, producers are naturally going to want to raise their prices. That's just what happens. Yeah, I stopped recording.
Oh, okay. I'm having trouble focusing on my room, so I'm gonna get my phone now.